Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Downey, and today we're going to discuss everything wrong with the Anabolic Doc. So this is an opinion piece, and it will sound quite negative. However, it's just to inform and to entertain pretty much. It's not like my usual videos. So the Anabolic Doc, known to me as the Anecdotal Doc, and you'll see why now, is a popular YouTuber or doctor on YouTube, and I assume his popularity stems mostly from his status as a doctor who discusses steroids, because I think he was one of the first, and he found this empty space on YouTube and filled it with anecdotes, pretty much. He was supposed to fill it with information that would be interesting, however, most of it's anecdotes, and you'll see why. So this was a topic I discussed with the YouTuber Jordan Oakley, and we both agreed most of his content is based off of his own expert opinion, which doesn't sound like a bad thing, but you'll see why when we get into the hierarchy of evidence, why it's quite pointless. So I don't dislike him for what he promotes, because I think harm reduction and safe use of steroids is obviously great, and if you can avoid it altogether, that would be best. But my issue just comes with his content. I find it quite pointless, and you'll see why, and extremely difficult to watch. I had to force myself to watch the few videos that I did. There, I am admitting I haven't watched all of them, so this is based off a few, and that's not great, but anyway. So it just irritated me how he took this space on YouTube for doctors to discuss anabolics and didn't add much to it besides his personal anecdotes. And when you watch a video, well, I mean any video that's meant to be informative, so let's pick one of his, like the strongest steroid for this. You go in expecting to learn something about the strongest steroid, and you go out and you still don't know what the strongest steroid is, because I don't know, his content just doesn't seek to inform. It just seems to be case study after case study of these patients that who knows if they exist. Um, so Furthermore, as I just mentioned, it's all anecdotal, and he relies on personal anecdotes. Okay, I can't say it's all, but a lot of it is, and he relies on these personal anecdotes to bring points across. For example, in the 400 milligram of testosterone a week video, where it said, "Can you run it for years?" or something like that. I can't remember. He mentioned something like, oh, he had a patient who had crazy kidney and heart problems. So it's not safe, and I wouldn't advise it. Obviously, I wouldn't advise that either. But secondly, I would like to know about the patient. If you're going to make a case report or case study, at least give us the whole patient history, past medical history, previous steroid use, family history, things like that, so that we can actually interpret this as something meaningful, as opposed to a simple anecdote with not much evidence behind it. So, furthermore, he seems to rely on mechanistic data quite a bit, so saying this steroids do this, like they increase this hormone and this hormone does this, so steroids must do that, which mechanistic data is more reliable than case reports, but still, you have to have a study to prove that the cause and effect relationship. You can't just assume that just because in the body hormones seem to work like this, I assume that if we do this, that will happen. You know, you're making a hypothesis, but you have to prove it with actual studies. So let's just look here. For those who don't know, this is the hierarchy of evidence. So at the bottom, as you see, expert opinion. That's where the Anabolic Doc has most of his info. Then we have the mechanistic studies, and then the case reports. All of these three are the lowest, and their highest. Their quality is the lowest, and they're at the highest risk of bias. So I would not I would scrutinize any of these claims if they are from these three groups, and most of his stuff aren't really case reports or case studies because they're not written formally, and we have no other data than just him saying this is true, and we don't know the age, we don't know anything about the patient's characteristics. Furthermore, I watched another video. Every time I watch a video, I can see something wrong with it. And he discusses the safest steroid, or what is the safest steroid. And he says, well, I can't make a conclusion because I don't have a randomized control trial. Well, what about, that's not the best form of evidence, and that's not only what's used to recommend drugs and different things. Obviously, you shouldn't recommend steroids, but why didn't he want a meta-analysis? Because we have a meta-analysis on testosterone and testosterone replacement therapy in particular, which isn't really as, typical. When people talk about steroids, I don't mean TRT, but still, there's a meta-analysis on that showing it was safe. Again, there were many studies, 600 milligrams used for 20 weeks with just a decrease in HDL. Why don't you refer to those studies? They're much better than case reports. They're not the best studies, but we don't have many. And then there was just another video where I didn't watch it because I saw the title and it said Doctor's Real Case Study. Again, it just proves he loves case studies. And yeah, I get that we don't have a lot of evidence or studies done on steroids, but at the same time, I don't know if you're telling the truth, because it's not published, and it's just I'm taking your word for it, which I don't believe, because it seems like you have 1,000,001 steroid user patients coming to you, which is not the case. I know a professor in clinical pharmacology who does actual TRT and has done many studies into TRTs, and you'll see he's referred to on a few papers. And how many steroid users come to him? I think he's seen a total of 5, and I've come across a few just through being in the gym, and none of them seem to have these drastic health changes that the Anabolic Doc refers to. I'm not saying that they're safe. I'm just saying that he seems to make up these patients in order to fit his point or opinion. But anyway, so again, he has referred to studies before. He does use studies now and then, but he just seems to read the abstract. I think I saw him refer to the DECA study, which I did a whole video on going through in detail. I prefer him to do something like that. And if he had read the whole study, he would realize that some of the claims are really just not correct. And he just takes it as, well, DECA is this more dangerous than testosterone, where you should read the study for yourself and you'll find that that might not be true. Anyway, so in summary, his content is essentially his disguised opinions as case reports, I would say, and so he has these case reports that who knows are true, that are just basically disguised as his opinion. Oh no, they're disguised as a case report when in fact they're his opinion. And he relies on a lot of anecdotes to enforce his points, as opposed to actual evidence-based medicine. Furthermore, when he utilizes studies, he fails to do so accurately and with, critical analysis in mind. And I simply don't find value in his content. I don't know what individuals tend to gain from it. And he has arbitrary standards on which he bases his medical advice off of. He'll base it off of a case report, but he needs a randomized control trial in order to make a recommendation of this. He has arbitrary standards for standards of practice. So, yeah, that's what I think about the anecdotal/anabolic doc. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'd prefer this not to be a hate video, but it's just more what I don't like, and it's an opinion piece, so let me know what your opinion is. And yeah, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in another video.